So in this lesson, we're going to take a look at Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison. And that's the introductory riff that everybody recognizes. And it's not too terribly hard to play. Basically, we start on a major third here, the interval. And these other two are minor thirds. So basically, I've got my second finger on the third fret of the E string, first finger on the second fret of the A string, like that. And then I'm going to slide up just one fret, but I'm going to switch fingers, like that. That gives the minor third interval. Then I'm going to slide that whole thing up 2 frets. So we got the major third here, minor third, minor third. So you just got to move quickly. So the good news is the next part of the riff is the same pattern, just played up on the neck. Instead of starting on the 3rd fret, we're going to start on the 8th fret of the E string. Same thing. So. Now right now, with my right hand, I'm plucking with my thumb and my first finger to get both notes to happen at the same time. But there's a few different ways to play this. If you want to play with a lighter, sweeter tone, you can rake it with the fingernail on your first finger. Like that. And here's the end of the riff too. We end with just a finger on the 2nd fret of the E string, and the A is open. And then there's one last little part of it. And using that open string gives you a chance to reset your hand and come back down. Okay, but back to the right hand here. If I flick it with the finger, it's a little bit of like a sweeter, softer sound. If you're playing with maybe a louder ensemble, you might want to do a reverse pull of those 2 strings. It's a harsher sound, but it'll cut through if you got a couple of guitar players that you're playing with and trying to speak over the top of them. If it's just you by yourself, that might be just right. Or you can use the thumb and the finger plucking together. Then we get into the chords of the song. And in the verse, this is really simple. We've got our G chord, and a C chord, G chord, and a D chord. That's it. Now, I'm fingering the D chord like this, using my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually do a slightly different form of that chord, which is barring across the 2nd fret and using my pinky up here on the 5th. it's a little bit easier to switch between that and this instead of this and this. This just depends on your comfort level. If you're more comfortable with another fingering for the D chord, or even the G chord, if you finger it like that, this can be a matter of personal taste or what you want it to sound like. So, once again. This is going to repeat 4 times. This is the 3rd time. Then we go to the C, D, okay, so in the chorus, these changes happen basically twice, and then we go to the D for 1 extra bar, and we have a riff that goes back to the verse again. So this riff is in sixths. So these intervals are sixths. So if you take a look here, I'm up on the 6th fret of the C and the 5th fret of the A string. And we use that same shape, move it down a whole step, 2 frets. Then we got to change. This is 2nd fret and 2nd fret on those 2 strings. And then open on both strings. So let me put this together so you can hear how it goes. And now we're back to the verse again. Now that riff all occurs over the D chord. And we go back to the G to start the verse over again. So that's really just for the first chorus. In the second chorus, when we get to that D, when we get to the D, it stays there for a little bit longer. So that extra bar of D before we go into the sha-la-la-la section, if you will. And the sha-la-la section is the same as the verse. And those are really the parts of the song. The arrangement sort of depends on what verses you're going to sing, and of course you can follow along on the YouTube video of the original performance or the original version by Van Morrison to get how the pieces and parts go together. But so there you have the parts for Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison.